From the very beginning, Percy Jackson was never normal. Before he could even walk, a monster crawled into his crib and didn't crawl back out. A snake slipped toward him, and Percy strangled it with nothing but instinct. No sword, no training, just survival. At 12 years old, he ripped the horn off the Minotaur with his bare hands. Not long after, he stood toe-to-toe with Ares, the god of war, and walked away alive. And that was nowhere near his peak. Percy would go on to summon hurricanes, trigger a volcanic eruption at Mount St. Helens, command entire ships with his mind, fight titans, battle giants, survive Tartarus, and walk through the River Styx without losing himself. These feats weren't isolated moments. They formed a pattern. Other demigods noticed, gods noticed. When Percy arrived at Camp Jupiter with no memory of who he was, the Roman demigods felt it immediately. His power behaved differently. His presence carried weight. Some genuinely wondered if he was a god in disguise, testing them. Within a week, Percy was named Praetor, the highest military rank at Camp Jupiter. Achievements like that don't come from luck. So the question becomes unavoidable. Why was Percy Jackson so much stronger than everyone else? Yes, he was a child of the Big Three, but so was Thalia Grace. And while Thalia could summon lightning, Percy was out here moving warships with his thoughts. The gap between them felt massive. If you look closely across the series, several explanations begin to emerge, and none of them work on their own. Theory 1. Fear never stopped him. One of the earliest differences between Percy and other demigods has nothing to do with power. It's fear. Most demigods hesitate. They calculate. They imagine worst-case scenarios. Percy moves. That instinct comes from a childhood shaped by instability. An abusive stepfather, constant school expulsions, a life spent bracing for impact rather than planning for success. By the time Percy enters the mythological world, chaos already feels familiar. So when monsters appear, Percy doesn't freeze. He reacts. That pattern repeats throughout the series, against the Minotaur, against Medusa, against Ares, against Kronos' armies. Percy rarely has a plan, but he always has momentum. Fear still exists. It simply never gets control. And when someone like that becomes the focal point of destiny, fate doesn't slow them down. It accelerates them. Theory 2. Percy was protected by prophecy. Percy wasn't interchangeable. He was required. He stood at the center of the great prophecy, a child fated to either preserve Olympus or bring about its destruction. Later, he became a pillar of the prophecy of Seven, tied to another war that reshaped the balance between gods, giants, and mortals. In this universe, prophecies don't sit in the background. They exert pressure. Even the gods respect fate. Titans cannot escape it. Monsters cannot override it. So when Percy survives events that should have erased him, coincidence becomes harder to accept. Fate required him alive long enough to reach specific moments. Mount St. Helens, the war with the Titans, the giant uprising, Tartarus itself. Percy wasn't invulnerable, he was preserved. Other demigods bound to prophecy, like Jason Grace or Leo Valdez, follow similar trajectories. They endure extreme danger until their role reaches completion. But prophecy explains survival, not dominance. For that, we need to look elsewhere. Theory 3. Poseidon's power worked differently. Not all gods empower their children in the same way. Zeus rules through authority and hierarchy. Hades rules through distance and fear. Poseidon rules through emotion. The sea responds to feeling: rage, calm, desperation. Percy doesn't command it like a weapon. He synchronizes with it. That difference matters. Poseidon intervenes for Percy more openly than most gods ever would. He bends rules, makes exceptions, reacts emotionally instead of politically. When Percy is claimed, Poseidon does it publicly. When Percy is threatened, Poseidon takes it personally. This creates alignment. Where many demigods draw from their parents' domain in fragments, Percy moves as though the sea itself is acting through him. His power scales with emotion, stress, and necessity. This explains why Percy's abilities spike under pressure instead of collapsing. His power isn't static. It responds. Theory 4. Percy grows because suffering teaches him. Most demigods peak early. They unlock their abilities, find a ceiling, and stabilize. Percy doesn't follow that pattern. Every war leaves him sharper. Every loss strips away hesitation. Every sacrifice forces growth. Percy learns through consequence, not training. By the time he reaches Tartarus, he isn't relying on raw strength. He's making calculated decisions under conditions that break most demigods. He chooses restraint, timing, efficiency. These are skills forged under pressure. Gods struggle with this. Percy adapts to it. That adaptability compounds his power over time. Theory 5. Sally Jackson passed on more than love. Sally Jackson is far from ordinary. Like Rachel Dare and May Castellan, she possessed clear sight. She could perceive the mythological world without divine intervention. Apollo noticed her. Poseidon revered her. In the Wrath of the Triple Goddess, Hecate speaks directly to Sally and recognizes potential in her. The potential to practice magic. Sally never trained. Age closed that door. But unused power doesn't vanish. Sometimes it transfers. Percy's abilities reach beyond elemental control. He manipulates objects, bends environments, and resists cosmic forces. His power feels layered, as though multiple systems are at work. We've seen this before. Hazel Levesque inherited heightened magical sensitivity through her mother, a practitioner of dark magic. That lineage amplified Hazel's abilities far beyond standard demigod limits. If Sally carried dormant magical potential, Percy may have inherited more than divine power. He may have inherited magic that never had the chance to awaken in her. Theory 6. The power of a name. Sally didn't name her son after a tragic hero, not Achilles, not Theseus, not Icarus. She chose Perseus, a hero who survived, a hero who completed impossible quests and lived to tell the story. Percy followed that pattern again and again. In The Son of Magic, words spoken with intent shape reality. In the Kane Chronicles, true names hold identity, essence, and power. Names matter. When Sally named Percy, she chose hope, love, defiance, survival. That intention carried weight. It may have shaped how the world responded to him, how fate treated him, how stories unfolded around him. So what made Percy Jackson so strong? Fear that never slowed him down? Prophecy preserving his path? A godly parent whose power responded emotionally? Growth forged through consequence? A mother with dormant magic? Or a name chosen with purpose? The answer might be all of them. And that combination explains why Percy Jackson was never meant to be normal. So what's your take? Which theory actually explains Percy's power, or did I miss something important? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more Percy Jackson lore without the fluff.